is Kevin Aguilar. I'm a master's student here at UC San Diego in Latin American Studies. But one of the major reasons why I'm here is because over 10 years ago, I came here to go to a show at Che Cafe, and I keep coming for 10 years. My own bands have played here. At my band's last show, we had people from Russia, from China, from Mexico, Brazil, and other parts of the country. It completely sold out. I don't know if it met fire hazard restrictions, but it was actually something very impactful to me and my memory of UC San Diego, because I'm from San Bernardino, California. It's a very poor working class city, and I would take the 2-hour drive to come down here with friends, and because of the cheap and affordable ticket costs at Che Cafe, I was actually able to come, which was unlike other places for music venues. And the other difference is that there was actually a discussion about politics and current events that meant a lot to me and has shaped actually my own research. So it's an imperative factor in my own intellectual development that is directly affecting this institution, because something that as grad students we constantly are told that, oh, we're going to provide new value to this institution. But if we actually take away a space that has been open to us for so long and has allowed people such as myself that usually are excluded from higher education because of my socioeconomic and ethnic background, then we're doing a disservice to this institution.
My name is Maria. I'm a first-year PhD student in ethnic studies. I'm very new to Southern California. I'm new to California. I'm originally from New York, so everything here is new to me. So when I was taking the tour, I remember that when I was taking the tour of the university, I had already accepted, and you know, a lot of the buildings are really gray. But the Che Cafe stood out to me. There's color, right? We were touring all around. And you know, I did the double take, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I remember that, and I was like, okay, I need to check out the space. And one of the things that really stands out about the Che Cafe, for me, that is extremely important is building community, because I'm here, this is probably where I'm going to spend, they say 6 years, but realistically 8 years of my life, because as a PhD student. For me, more important than perhaps my advisor that's going to change, perhaps the cohort, you know, my cohort that I'm going to get into a fight with, is building community outside of the university campus. And Che Cafe is notoriously known for bringing people across San Diego into La Jolla, which, based on the layout of San Diego, is actually really separate from the rest of San Diego. So for people to actually come to La Jolla for a show, or I know people that like came from LA to be here right now. So for me, this is community, and this is community. This is what brings people together. And this was one of the major decisions for me, because this is like my 3rd graduate program. So I was like, okay, school, I can do a project anywhere. Really what I need is a place where I feel at home, because home is just so many different places. I need, that was my major thing. Where do I feel comfortable? Where can I see myself living for an extended period of time, which for me is 8 years. And this is it, right? So just when I realized people are like, oh, but you're gonna live in La Jolla. I didn't know what they meant by that, by, you know, the face. But now I know what it means. It means that La Jolla is separate from the rest of San Diego. I'm from New York, so I commute by bus, which makes it really difficult to meet other people outside of the campus. It's extremely difficult because as much as people told me public transportation here is good, that was a lie. So it's really beautiful to get to know other people in Southern California, and I think the Che Cafe does that. So I would really, really consider not closing off a space that has notoriously brought people to the campus.
My name is Kael, and I am a graduate student, so I'm here to provide my perspective as a graduate student. I'm in the Department of Ethnic Studies. And I just want to share with you that about 15 years ago, one of my first encounters with UCSD was through the Che Cafe. It was the first time I had ever been to UCSD. I am from Tijuana, San Diego. And it was one of the reasons why I actually thought about UCSD as a potential university that I could attend. It actually made me think, you know, this may be a place for me. So I think it's important that we consider that not everyone on campus, including myself, I'm a second-year PhD student here, feels comfortable with the fact that everything is looking like a price center. It's extremely alienating. I feel it looks like a shopping mall. I think the university should look like a shopping mall. And where I feel in community, me and also other grad students and just people that I know on campus, we appreciate having other places to, congregate. So I think you should also keep in mind that there are members here of the university and community members that really value not having to be, forced into these spaces that we don't want to be in, including the center. So I think it's really important to consider that, to consider the autonomy of the Che Cafe as something that I know maybe it's not something that's valuable for a valuable aspect for you, but for me it is what it represents. A university can look different, and closing a space like that is, I think, a step in the wrong direction, and it can really affect some of us in ways that maybe are not apparent when you're just voting on these things abstractly. So I think I just really want you to know that, because I think it matters. I know UCSD, it just changed my idea of what UCSD could be for me, and I hope that we keep investing in spaces like that, because they do matter. That's all I have.
Hey, Ucab. My name is Lee. I am an alumni. I graduated last year. I was the co-op union rep to the Associated Students and the primary negotiator for the union on the master space agreement. I'm not a member of the Che Cafe. I never have been, in case that's unclear. But the Che is, in many ways, I think, the most important space on this campus to me. When people talk about students not attending shows there or going to events there, that's not my experience. I attended shows there all the time as a student. I continue to attend shows there as an alumni. I hosted events there, which were free and open to everyone and aimed at students in particular. I was married at the Che Cafe. But obviously all of these people all have very similar stories about how important the Che is to them. And it's so important that they're willing to come here, maybe miss class, maybe miss work, in order to talk to you about this space and how important it is to them. So I want to talk more about the numbers and the facts, and the information has been presented to you, because some of it is just wrong. The numbers that were given to the Che, and that I understand were also given to Ucab 2 weeks ago, had more than $800,000 in renovations needed at the Che next year to make it safe to operate. And that's just, like, when you look at that number, the breakdown of that, it has $490,000 for bathroom renovations, $350,000 for a fire sprinkler system, and $15,000 for someone to go in, I guess, check to make sure that people aren't hanging up rafters or something. That's not true. The numbers that they gave the Che this morning that I have here show that $490,000 was the total for not only all of those changes, but also several other changes they didn't tell the Che are necessary. So when you're talking about $800,000, the number is just wrong. Someone made a mistake in giving that number to either the budget committee, or the budget committee made a mistake in giving that number to UCAB, because that $490,000 was the $350 for the fire sprinkler system, the $50 for the bathroom renovations, and like $100,000 for other things. So the Che is like, we're not actually talking about $800,000. And you need to ask the administrators to get you the actual numbers so that you can actually make an informed decision. Because the numbers that they gave you are wrong. They're false. They're not consistent with their own numbers. And I also want to put the Che in the context of its financial history. I don't know if everyone knows how the Che got built, but the Che was originally a part of the Camp Matthews Marine base that was at UCSD before UCSD was founded. It was in this space. The building was repurposed, first as a dining hall that was closed in 1980, and then it became the Che Cafe. University Centers has done only minor maintenance to the building since then. You know, the ISIS report in 2010 was, I think, the first actual report on the building after over 50 years of having existed. And now they're suddenly having maintenance needs for this building that they haven't taken care of. And they're saying, oh, we can't pay for it. And what is it they're not paying for? Like, it's not something like the Price Center. Like, it's not a reasonable comparison.
There's a lot of issues that are very concerning legally with respect to this. That have gotten exacerbated. And, you know, the Che is also very different than a lot of these facilities that are managed by this board in another respect. All the cooperatives are under the master space agreement. And I'm sure probably, you know, the vast majority of you have not read that agreement, don't know it in detail. And there's important provisions in that, but it's in essence a lease. You know, it's a lease. So unlike the rest of the facilities here, the university has a lease. They're the landlord. They have obligations to make these repairs. So it's very concerning to us that these repairs would be funded when they've been under existing obligations to repair these for not just a year, not just 4 years, since the 2010 facilities report, way longer than that. And so in our meeting this morning, we asked them, why are these expenditures for the Che, they're such a pittance. I mean, why are they being pushed off? Why is this being selected? Why are we the lucky folks who get to be on the chopping block? And it's such a small amount. And they said, well, because of the survey. Sammy said that was the primary reason, no other reason. This 2012 survey, have you seen it? Are you guys aware of this? So this is a survey, first of all, that was done by the facilities department. It was sent out allegedly to 8,000 students. Only 1,081 students actually completed that. That's the survey pool. That's your, now, I mean, you have probably half that amount of students in this room right now. You don't even know, it wasn't even asked in the survey whether people or not attended the Che. So maybe they had never gone there, and maybe that's why it's a low priority. And I don't think people just ranking it as a low priority in a 1,000-member survey should warrant it being defunded, and that should be the reason on the chopping block. There's, because people don't have to go to a lot of the places on campus that represent diversity aspects, that represent a lot of minority things, that represent things that the vast majority of people don't subscribe to. We still value them and keep them on campus. There's still an important cultural diversity. You know, this vote's all about budget and money. We need to put our money where our mouth is. Well, we do a lot of mouthing off about cultural diversity, about our community, about how as an institution we love to diversity and to respect people of all races and classes and, you know, different lifestyles and political beliefs, but that's not what we're seeing here today. So, you know, another thing, the budget, right? You have a $10 million budget, more or less, a little over that. And it's a big responsibility having to balance that when you have to make certain cuts. I know no cuts are easy, especially if it involves staff, payroll, things like that. But, you know, it's hard to believe that for a couple of years now, this board has been running as a deficit, or this one, when the overall, you know, gross expenditures went up 1.18%. So the total budget has gone up. And not only that, but, you know, last year in the approved budget, there was a lot spent on things that were not critical issues. Critical issues like facilities maintenance and buildings actually staying open, which actually in the 2012 survey, if you look at it, that was given one of the highest priorities. About 70% of students ranked as the highest priority maintaining the condition of facilities. So unless that, you know, unless there was, you know, some footnote to that and it said all the facilities except the Che Cafe, I think, you know, we should take that into account too in terms of, we're going to look at that survey. But in last year's budget, I see that over $2 million, almost $3 million was spent on computer and furnishings overall for the facilities. And yeah, I'm isolating that because it's a big number. And you know what's a small number? The amount of maintenance that would be necessary to keep the Che running. Maybe it's 800,000, maybe it's 9, maybe it's 400,000. We don't actually really know. And in the meeting earlier today, they just said, well, these are the facilities estimates. We don't really have accurate breakdowns at all. And so, and we're not even allowed to, we couldn't even get from them the contacts of the people to ask them ourselves, what are these estimates? Can you give us breakdowns? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't give you that contact information. Okay, well, so these kinds of expenditures last year, we could have spent $800,000 on the Che facilities maintenance, or the year before that, or this year. And this board is allowed to approve a budget that's at deficit. You're allowed to approve something that is going into reserves. And I think that's warranted to keep these facilities open, if that's even the case. Because there are also issues as to whether the actual repairs that they're citing are even really necessary and critical to the place staying open. The fire marshal report that we received said the sprinkler system was recommended, highly recommended. It's not mandatory. It's not immediate. But the facilities department is going to make sure it's mandatory, because it's all of a sudden, after 20-some years, it's a high risk. It's a health and safety issue that needs to be taken care of immediately. Could have been taken care of last year when we were spending almost $3 million on furniture and computers. There's lots of little things that could add up to the amount that we need to have these repairs. And there's probably a lot more repairs that the university needs to do, and that they're under obligation and the lease to do.